Hi, everybody. My name is Joe Hartford,
And I'm Angie Singer-Keating.
and this is
Data security over coffee.
neither one of us have coffee, so
We
I
don't.
have, for the last year, been tormented that I'm normally the one that doesn't have it, so we both kind of dropped the ball today. So we have a little bit of news to share with you today, a little bit of sad news, which is today is our last data security over coffee. Although I was reminded right before we started shooting that it is a woman's prerogative to change her mind. So we may, in fact, be back again if Angie can find the money to have this thing produced, but you just never know. Or you may get to listen to the two of us ramble in a podcast. So stay tuned in January of 2018, and we'll let you know what's going on. But rather than share with you what a lot of people have done over the last several weeks, which is to share the trends in security in 2018, we really want to talk about a privacy and security checkup.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to share with you today. A privacy and security checkup. Like, am I going to the doctor? Do I have to get ready to have something happen to me, or what? Because I am scheduled to go to the doctor.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you keep an eye on those things. Well, with all of the talk lately about Alexa and Google Home and these types of devices that are always listening, I thought it was a good idea to just give some very practical tips for privacy tune-ups to make sure that you're kind of doing a little more than the average person to protect your online privacy and your online security. And some of these tips will be great for businesses, some personal, and some are relevant to both. So as it relates to Alexa, as it relates to Google Home, one of the things to really think about and keep in mind is that they are recording all the time. Now, everybody understands that at this point, and so people are going into those types of devices, for the most part, with their eyes open. But one of the areas people aren't aware of are toys that your children may have that are listening all the time. And so today, whenever you are buying toys for your children, your grandchildren, and the toy has any type of interactive component where it's going to answer, you want to make sure that this is something you do want your child to have, because these toys don't have the same kinds of restrictions and protection by law that your child going on the internet and having the Children's Online Protection Act protection. So the challenge is, who made the toy? What is it recording? What is it listening to about your child? And who is the company that has this data ultimately? We all know Google has our data, Alexa, Amazon, they have our data. But is there some small little company in Asia that now has a lot of information about you that you have no idea? So that's something that parents and grandparents really need to think about when they have these kinds of toys. The next one is two-factor authentication. Anybody that's worked with me around security or privacy knows that I am a huge advocate of two-factor authentication, making sure that you turn it on every single website where it is available. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, so that you put in your password and then you may get a code on your phone, you may get a code on your watch, you may get something called a push, but you have to have that secondary step to get into the account. Because regardless of how weak your passwords may be, or regardless of whether some company like Yahoo has a data breach and your passwords are unprotected and they're part of the breach, when you have that two-factor authentication turned on, it gives you that extra layer of security.
What can a business do? Because I'm sure that there are small businesses out there, maybe even large businesses out there, that have these devices in their businesses.
Sure.
Or they're still trying to futz around with two-factor authentication. I mean, what can somebody do to assess what's up, to get themselves kind of squared away?
Do you mean in terms of businesses?
Yeah.
You know, one of the most important things that a business can do is to look for a no-cost security assessment.
Okay.
And that's something that Reclamaire provides to our business clients. That's something that many security organizations will offer. Also in the way of security tools where you have a 30-day free trial. Getting an understanding of what's going on in your organization is really, really critical today. And I just can't stress the value of taking advantage of those no-cost network assessments, security checkups that we do.
Okay, thanks. So what are the other kind of things in a privacy and a security checkup examination should somebody be concerned about?
Well, the last two items really are more about your personal privacy, your personal protection. Whenever you're asked to set up security questions for any type of login or proof of who you are, lie. Figure out when it says, what was your first elementary school? Pick a different elementary school. What was your mother's maiden name? Pick any name, but your mother's maiden name. And then the next question will be, well, how do I remember my lies? That's where the password keepers come in to play. And just like you put your passwords in your secure encrypted password keeper, you put your security question answers in there. And so that's really, really important to do because we have seen organizations have data breaches and they're losing this information of, incredibly personal things. Who was the date, who was your first date to the prom? And then it's out there. And then the next thing is it's more about the nuisance of it, but, we're starting to lose that privacy of our cell phone numbers. And it's really annoying. The robocalls can mimic our own local town number when they're coming from all over the world. So spoofing your cell phone number, spoofing a number is very easy to do. So one of the things you want to do is, just like a few years back, everyone was encouraged to sign up for the Do Not Call registry for your landlines to not be bothered by telemarketers. You want to go back on the Do Not Call registry and make sure you add your cell phone number. Next thing you want to do is go ahead and block these numbers when they call you or they text you. And with the blocking on iPhone, it's native to iPhone. On Android devices, there are actually some really nice apps that will block calls and allow you to also go ahead and tap a link that will report the number. So those are some of the good things that you can do. And then the final thing is, it's free to get a Google Voice number. So you can get yourself a Google Voice number, and anytime you have to give out your cell phone or any phone number at all, where you really don't want to give it but you have to, use your Google Voice number, and that's a really great way to avoid ending up on the robocall lists and telemarketer lists.
One of the things I find to be interesting is when we talk to people about doing a no-cost network evaluation, there are still people that give us pushback. There are still people that say, no, I don't want to do that. And as a person who's a security professional and not a salesperson, why do you think people give us pushback and say, I don't want to take advantage of something like that? What do you think causes that with folks?
I think there's probably a combination of fear of, oh my gosh, what will they find? If they're a staff member, maybe they're afraid that their boss is going to look at it and say, well, gee, Tom, you're responsible for keeping our computers running and we have all of these security issues. And I think it also is lack of awareness. A lot of organizations think, well, I have a firewall, I have antivirus, I'm good. You were good in 2005. Right now, you're incredibly vulnerable because today's attacks manage to get right through the firewall, right into all of the systems in your organization. And antivirus does not catch these things. So to the people out there that are kind of worried that their security checkup is a little too much like opening the kimono and showing everything, one of the things you and I find is that when we present our findings of the no-cost network assessment, oftentimes for staff members, it gets them the resources in budget or other resources to solve problems that they had been trying to solve for years. Something about that outside party coming in and saying, hey, here are the issues. So that's the first thing. And I don't know of a single case where anyone ended up, getting in trouble or whatever it is. The vast majority of people, of security people and IT people that work in business, know and have been asking for more up-to-date resources. So we can be a tremendous help there. And then as it relates to people who believe that they're secure, I would simply say that you are the absolute perfect candidate. Prove us wrong. If you believe that you are absolutely 100% secure in your environment, take advantage of this no-cost assessment. And I'd love to eat crow on it and be wrong. But every single organization, we will find significant findings in our analysis that you need to address immediately,
right,
regardless of whether you continue to work with Reclamier or not.
Great.